update on number 43. This is a cymbal I made yesterday. It's 22 inch and it's 1759 grams. It's thin. I would call this thin. It's tapered and it has a very smooth lathing finish. You probably can see some of the lathing grooves, but those are basically just shadows. It's very smooth to the touch, almost slippery. And I did this for different reasons. One is I'm currently on the hunt for dry and dark or darkish cymbals. And I have a pretty good idea what lathing does when it comes to removing weight and tapering and that stuff. But the lathing grooves themselves, I'm not that sure what they actually do to the sound. I've heard different things. I've heard different ways of thinking how the sound or sound waves are moving across the cymbal. There are different theories, and I just don't know. I sometimes think I know, and I do something, and then the cymbal turns out the other way. And to speed this up, this is the sound that I expected. But this is with this big tape. If I remove the tape, sound is like this. It may not sound that different. I'm not sure if the mic is picking this up. It still has the same character, but there is a slight shimmering of high frequencies. Very high. It's not too long, so it dies off pretty quickly, which is a good thing for this kind of experiment. But when I played it like this without the tape today, after the cymbal has rested over the night, I just knew that it still holds a lot of frequencies, high frequencies, which I didn't expect. All right. Lathing grooves. I really have to figure this stuff out. I've heard theories like lathing grooves add high frequencies. I've heard ideas about big lathing grooves kind of removing high frequencies or disturb them. But there are also theories like you have this edge here, the edge of the cymbal, and another edge or important zone, which is the transition of the bell, and a lot of the sound waves or the way the sound travels through the cymbal bounces back and forth between those 2 points, but it gets very chaotic very quickly. And very deep lathing grooves may act as a barrier but it can also act as a reflector, like something hits a certain zone, or a zone where thickness changes very rapidly, very fast, and a portion of the sound bounces back. I don't even know. There are theories that the thinner the lathing grooves, like pin lathing, the thinner the lathing grooves, the more high frequencies there are afterwards. I don't know, but there's another interesting thing about this discussion about high frequencies, and it involves the rim or the edge zone, like this around the cymbal, and how this is shaped, or how thick it is. Does it wobble? Is it strong? Is it soft? And this is a little weird, but generally speaking, you could, if you look at the cymbal like a loudspeaker, the edge portion, when the cymbal wobbles, this is the portion where the cymbal is most free in, or the least restricted in movement. So the edge portion moves the most in terms of movement, but it's a slower movement probably than in here, where everything is contained and vibrates very quickly. So you could easily think that this zone is mainly it only deals with the lowest frequencies, but I think it can have an effect on high frequencies as well, especially when it's very thin and kind of weak and wobbly, because this will lead to frequencies dying off. So when you hit, let's say here, and sound travels in all direction, and some of them go this direction, some of those go this direction, and they want to probably I just keep talking like I know what I'm saying, but those are all just guesses. Some of the sound waves or movements or whatever energy goes this direction and wants to reflect on this point and come back. I always have the idea of a plate reverb in mind. The old I hope I'll find my point again later. This is just something in between. But an old reverb plate, they are huge, they are stretched, they are pretty thin, and they are like 2 meters and 1 meter or 1.5 meter. They are huge, mounted into a frame, a solid steel frame, and the plate is the steel plate is tightened, and then you have a speaker or something that puts the sound into the plate, and then you have pickups on the plate to catch up the sound, and it sounds very roomy and reverby and chaotic. And it's clear to me, since it's a rectangle, I think that the sound is usually put into the middle or close to the middle, and then a weird thing is happening where everything bounces off the edge in a different angle, and very soon you have something very wild. So when you think of this as a reverb plate, the edge is not just the end of movement. Probably sound wants to come back or reflect on the edge and go. It comes like this, and it wants to go like this, or it comes like this and wants to go like this. I don't know. But when the edge is weak and thin and wobbly, sound dies off. Not especially the low frequencies, because those actually need the slow and big movements, but high frequencies actually need something rigid, something stiff, and the vibration is microscopic and super fast. And I think that if you think of it like that, that a soft edge can actually also lead to less high frequencies. The high frequencies that are generated wherever underneath your stick, after they hit the bell, some of them travel up the bell, come back, they just want to go, they want to go where they ever want to go, until they are lost in, how do I put this? They can be lost due to weakness of material. Mostly that. Let's go with that. So a very, very thin and very heavy tapered cymbal with a very thin edge portion kind of has to be smoothly lathed if you want to go to the absolute minimum of weight. This is not a minimum. This is just, to my taste, light. 1759. It feels light. It can be lighter, of course. If you want to go lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, and if you want to keep your tapering, at some point you have to stop making deep lathing grooves, because if you do that on top and on the bottom, they can pretty much meet and you cut through the cymbal, and that's the end of the cymbal, or the end of the cymbal in that very size. You then have to probably recut it and make it smaller. So you get the thinnest to the thinnest when you have a smooth surface, because it's very controllable and measurable, and you just can go ridiculously thin. And this is not ridiculously thin, but it's pretty thin and it's smooth, and the smoothness, well, I thought it's going to sound two-dimensional, and the reason for that is something that happens a lot in at least to me in cymbalsmithing. You go by something visual, and your mind wants to translate it into something that has to do with sound, which can be totally wrong, but this is such a thing. I look at the cymbal and I see that actually it's missing a dimension. It's missing depth, different thickness, because there is no lathing grooves. So since there's a dimension less, my mind goes, well, then it has to sound two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional. I don't know, but I expected it, and a little bit. it's true. I mean, it sounds pretty organized. It's mostly this little bit of wash that is in there. I think it's mostly due to the thinness. But it's not a chaotic cymbal. Yeah. So, Lathing grooves. Partially, so this experiment partially worked, but there's still too much high frequencies in it to my taste. When my aim is to go for a really dry, really dark cymbal. And so now I figure there is this discussion about lathing grooves and what they do, different sizes, different depths. But there is always thousands of other parameters involved. And probably one of the biggest is hammering. And I think that the high frequencies that still survive this kind of shape of the cymbal, they are there because of my hammering that I did to get to this shape. I don't know if you can see the shape. It's not tall, it's medium. I don't know if you can see that. But the way I got there is what makes me think that it has to do with hammering, because I did a lot of hammering and I didn't want to do a lot of hammering because I know a lot of hammering means a lot of high frequencies, basically, especially when you don't leave too much of crazy hammer marks. Just a general hammering with a flat-ish hammer, grow the whole thing up. But I had the feeling that I had to work too much on this one. So there's the question, why is that? And I think it has to do with the weight of the blank. I tried different things, started with very thick blanks, went a little lighter and very light, and now I'm back to more a little more heavy blanks. But this is still not a heavy blank. This wasn't 2,500 grams. It was below that, I think. I don't even know. But it felt pretty thin. And that's probably my problem here, I guess. That my blank was too thin, and that my hammer strokes, when a blank is very thin, a hammer stroke has less effect on basically everything, the zone of the mark itself, but also the zone around the hammer mark. Everything is thinner and weaker to start with. So maybe the high frequencies in this kind of cymbal, which should be, at least what I'm guessing, it should be, the sound should be without many high frequencies. The reason that they are there anyway, I think it has to do with slightly over hammering this cymbal. I try not to, but when I hammered it, I wanted to stop hammering earlier, but the shape wasn't there, so I had to continue hammering. And yeah, so I have to repeat this kind of experiment, this kind of shape, this kind of lathing, with another 20-inch blank, which is heavier, in the hope that I have to do less hammering. But yeah, that's my guess. That's what I think I have to try next. I'm still I'm still happy with this cymbal, especially with the big tape on it. Remember, this is the version I wanted to hear, or I expected to hear. I like this very much. So yeah, I'll check in later with another cymbal doing almost the same thing, but starting with a thicker blank, and I'll let you know how this turned out. That's that for now. Have a nice day. Bye.